Hello and welcome. In this session, we are going to learn about the backups in Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL. So one of the question which arises like in Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL, everything is automated, right? So even the backups also, you just do few clicks and everything works fine. So what is the reason we are going to learn about the backups in PostgreSQL for Cloud SQL? The thing is the kind of the concepts which are mentioned in the clouds, be it Google Cloud, AWS Cloud, or Azure Cloud. Before you have, in case you are learning the PostgreSQL, so if you wanted to understand the concepts, the best way is to start with the clouds. Therein, the things are mentioned in very detailed way, and if after that, if you wanted to work on the infrastructure as a service, or if you wanted to work on a Postgre which is running on a virtual machine, it is good to have those kind of experiences. The first thing is why we should have a backup. Backup prevents you to be in a situation where you have lost your data or your data is corrupted, and if you have a backup you can restore from the backup, right? In Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL, you have the automated backup which is enabled by default, and in case you wanted to disable, there is an option for that also, but there is no reason that why should you disable the backups in PostgreSQL in Cloud SQL. So you can have two types of backup. One is default automated backup, which you can enable, which will take the backup according to the preferred time, which you mentioned in the backup window. And another is the online on-demand backup. So you say, I wanted to take a backup, you just do few clicks and your backup will be initiated and it will be stored. Is there a reason between or let's talk about something. What is the difference between the backups versus the exports? Let's say the PG underscore backup or PG underscore backup all versus the backup which is enabled by default and initiated by PostgreSQL in Google Cloud. So when we say the backups, when I'm saying backup, I mean to say the backups which are enabled by default in Google Cloud for PostgreSQL. So these backups are managed by the Google Cloud itself, Cloud SQL, which is according to the retention policy. Say, for example, if I'm saying the retention period has to be 7 days, after 7 days, those will be unusable and they will be removed, right? And when we talk about the other types of backup, which is export backup, and when you upload it to the Google Cloud storage, then you have to manage the life cycle unless or until you say, I don't want the exports backup to be usable after 7 days or something like that. If not, then these will keep on accumulating, and if you have a policy mentioned for your cloud storage, then it is going to follow that. Unless or until you have some retention policy mentioned, it is not going to be deleted. So in short, your storage utilization will be higher in case your database size is big. So backups in PostgreSQL for Cloud SQL, it takes the backup of the entire database. But when we say the export backup, you can select specific contents. So that's the main difference when you are going to select the automated backups, which you enable by default, versus the export backups. And some of the important point is you use backup and restore operation to upgrade your database from lower version to higher version. But in case of automated backups, which are there in the Google Cloud for PostgreSQL, they cannot be used to upgrade your PostgreSQL instance. Say, for example, I have a PostgreSQL instance of version 12 and I wanted to upgrade it to Postgre 13, then using the default backup which you execute, you just say tick, you enable that backup, you execute it. And if you wanted to restore it to a higher version, it is not possible. If you are using the automated backup, then only the same version of the instance you can restore it. It cannot be changed. So that you need to understand. What about the backup size? Let's say my database, Postgre database size is 100 gig in size. Then is it something like if I have uh, given a backup window of 7 days. So is it going to take the backup on of 100 GB on the daily basis, assuming that on daily basis it is going to generate, let's say, 5 GB or 6 GB of the transaction logs. So in case of Cloud SQL for PostgreSQL, these backups are incremental in nature. When you execute the backup for the first time, it takes a full backup of the PostgreSQL, and subsequent backup from thereafter, it is going to pick up the changes, and those incremental blocks, they are applied to the last full backup. So it means the backup size which is available for you, it keeps on incrementing. It is not like on daily basis it is going to take the full backup. It just increments the amount of the data which changes. So say for example there is a transaction log which is going to change your database every day 1 gig in size. So there might be a change of just 1 GB in the backup size. So that's the important part. Let's say you have deleted the last backup. In that case, when you execute the backup again, it is going to take a fresh full backup, and after that it is going to, from the next day onwards or from next window onwards, it is going to take the subsequent incremental backup. So there are two types of backup in PostgreSQL for Cloud SQL. You have on-demand backup and the automated backup. So on-demand backups are those which you can execute at any time, and if I have already the uh, automated backup, why should I go for the on-demand backup? Let's say you don't want to wait for the automated backup window to get executed and then start your backup. In between, you have some maintenance activity, or there is some application code which is drastically going to change the database behavior, and there is a chance that database will be corrupted or unusable. In that case, you have to take an on-demand backup, so that in case of some failure, you should be able to restore from the on-demand backup. And one of the important thing about the automated backup and the on-demand backup is on-demand backups do not follow the retention policy. Say, for example, you have taken 100 on-demand backups on daily basis and you have a retention period of 7 days. So anything which is falling in the 7 days for the automated, only they will be deleted, not your not your on-demand backups. They are going to stay unless or until you are going to delete it. So it's going to be heavy on your pocket. So if I talk about the automated backup, when you are scheduling your automatic backup, wherein you just have to select the bullet and you say I wanted to enable it, and you have to mention the window. So it's obvious you will be selecting the window when the activity on your database is least, so that it can consume most of the resources of your Postgre instance, and backup can be. So by default, it takes a window of 4 hours. So it is assumed that within the window of 4 hours, it is going to complete the entire backup related activity. Okay, so when the backup is one of the most important operation, and sometimes it creates a server performance issue also. So, but in case of PostgreSQL, it is most of the time it is like that. It is not going to create the problem because it is going to be off business hours, and it is not going to create any performance impact on your system. So during the scheduled backup window, the automated backups will enable, and that will keep your backup up and running. So this is possible when your system is up and running. Let's say you have stopped your instance for some reason, then an extra backup is also taken, so that whatever the state of the database of Postgre was before shutting down, so an extra backup is taken by default, just to make sure that when your system comes up, and if you try to restore it, you should be able to restore post reboot. And if you have stopped your Postgre instance for more than 36 hours, in that case, automated backups will be halted. They will not be automatically started. So you have to make sure that you check what is the automated backup status. You are not going to get any warnings or alerts like your backup unless or until you have some mechanism wherein you track that your backup has not been initiated from last 36 hours or something like that, because your system has been down for that period. So one of the thing where these backups are stored, these backups are stored on the locations which you mentioned during the backup. So mostly it is in the same region where your instance is located, or if you mention the multi-region, so the regions which are close to your locations regions, there it will be spread across. So that's the way the backup locations is decided. In case you have some regulations in terms of the data where it should be stored, so make sure that you be there in the territory, or you mentioned very specifically like that I wanted to store my data in this particular region only. So you have to be very sure. There is some kind of conflict between the transaction logs and automated backup retention. So when we say transaction log retention period, let's say if it is 7 days, then it is going to be counted in terms of the exact days. When we talk about the automated backups retention, it actually go beyond the day boundary. It may be lesser than that, or it may be more than that. So if you try to put it in that way, then it is going to be difficult, because it is designed in this way only. If you talk about the transaction logs or the wall logs, they will be parsed according to the policy on the daily basis, right? There are a few of the question, can I export backup? You cannot export a backup because they are automated way of doing the entire PostgreSQL instance. What about the backup user? So there is a default Cloud SQL admin user, database user, which is used for taking the backup. So this is transparent. You cannot see what is happening, but if you see the status of running backup and something like that, you will be able to see the user which is doing this particular operation. So is there a way that backups are impacting the PostgreSQL operation? In most of the scenario, it is not going to do it. It is not going to create any problem. And one of the thing is it will be in the off business hours, and it doesn't take that much of resource. But there is always a chance that something can happen. And one of the thing is, um I'm not able to see the current backup operations for my instance. So Google Console doesn't show you anything other than the success or the failure. In case you wanted to see more, you have to go to the Operations tab in your Google Cloud Console in your PostgreSQL instance, and you will be able to see more details about it. And in case if there are multiple operators who are working on the PostgreSQL instance, if you wanted to see who has initiated the on-demand backup or something like that, then you have to go to the specific log in your log section, and you will be able to find more details about it. It's a very obvious thing. If the instance is already deleted, you will not be able to take the backup, because Cloud SQL is going to purge it within the 4 days. And if you see that an automated backup is not moving, there is no progress, it is halted. That in that case, sometimes it happens your entire instance gets freezed, and it is good to, if somehow you get the access to the IDs which were in your you can see if it is moving or not, or you can in some of the cases you have to forcefully restart the instance to come out of this issue. And if you are trying to restore using your uh, mm, PG dump or PG dump all, wherein some of the things will be skipped, if the rules do not exist in the target PostgreSQL instance, then it is going to fail. In that case, what you have to do is you have to pre-create the roles just to make sure that the import do not fail. Last but not the least, when we are doing a backup and restore operation in PostgreSQL, I'm not able to see some of the tables. It might be possible that the tables which have been created, they have been created as unlogged table, and the transaction logs for those tables are not generated, and you are not able to recreate those tables when you are doing the restore operation. There's all basics about the backup operation in PostgreSQL for Google Cloud under the Cloud SQL. I hope this